Hello, my name is Dr. Scott Young, and today I'm going to talk about the miracle healing that I had. Coming right up. So there is a longer video to this, but I want to pull a little more information about what's happened to me. When I probably it was about 2 years ago almost, pushing on 2 years, and this is almost September of 2019, or 2021, excuse me. And 2 years ago, we were going through massive transition. I mean, the business, we were moving to a new location. At the same time, we had taken over another audiology practice. I mean, just everything was going on. You know, hired a new employee, another one left. You know, there's just so much happening at the same time, and we were working 100-hour weeks. And then, you know, God had been pushing on me to start really being serious about a ministry. And so I took my wife, you know, on a trip to Hawaii, and you know, got a lot of writing done at that time frame. But in December, we had decided to go to Denver. And, you know, I'm originally from the Denver area, South Denver area kind of thing. And my son was getting super into the Colorado Avalanche. This is hockey. And, you know, so he's watching it, and I just look at him like, what are you doing? Why are you interested in now? He was going to be 21. And so we decided to, you know, take him to a Colorado Avalanche game there was Chicago that was coming in around the 21st, I think it was, of December. And so we hire this person named Sue, and Sue Riddell was going to be our ministry coordinator kind of thing, and really kind of mentor me through some areas and help push the books and help, you know, deal with a lot of areas that we really needed to do. It's funny because she's been praying over the building that we're in for nearly 30 years. So it was a total God thing. And so we hire her as we leave on Wednesday. We go on Thursday out to Colorado. We spend some time with friends. Saturday, we go to, you know, downtown Denver, which is the 16th Street Mall, and we're walking around that mall. And then we finally go to the game on Saturday night. And as I've said, this kind of story, they lose in the third period, because in 2019 they just kept losing in the third period. You know, they'd get up, you know, a couple goals, and then they would just blow it. And so by the time we're walking out probably you know, a couple minutes before the end of the game, trying just to beat a little of the traffic. But in Denver, you don't really beat much traffic because there's traffic everywhere. So we hit down to the hotel, we watch a movie all together, but I'm on the couch because I roll over too much, and we're in a hotel. So Wendy's gets a room, my son's in a room, and I'm on the couch, totally fine with me. But I was kind of feeling a little funny, but I didn't really understand what I was feeling. I sort of knew it, but I was getting a real significant vertigo sensation. And a vertigo is a spinning sensation that really makes you fall. That's not just dizziness. It was definitely a twisting to the right at that time frame. Now, I knew what that meant overall, but I wasn't sure what, you know, I could be experiencing necessarily, but I kind of ignored it. And by 2 a.m, I woke up and laid down on Wendy's bed. I said, hey, listen, I don't feel good. And within 20 minutes, they can barely get me dressed, and downstairs, they get into the car, and the Sky Ridge Hospital, which is a really good stroke hospital, which is exactly what I was experiencing, is right down the street. And the first thing that happens is I'm in the ER. Now, I don't know anything that's going on. The first thing that happens, I'm acting more and more psychotic. They will not posy restrain me down, which means, you know, kind of put you down with you know, restraints on the legs and the hands, because I'm lashing out. Now I'm, you know, a little overweight here. I need to lose some weight, but The reality is I'm 6 foot and 220. That's way too big to hold someone down just with the arm. And I'm ripping at my IV, rip it out and have blood everywhere on Wendy, and pretty darn traumatic. The first thing that they say, and so I'm just going to spend more time on Sunday, and then we'll talk about Monday later. But the first thing that happens here is that they say, do you have a DNR? Now, a do not resuscitate is not a super uncommon thing, but it is a bit uncommon. Now, I have nurses that will say, oh, it happens all the time. Yes, it does, but you don't walk in there with an ankle injury or just being sick and they ask you about a DNR. A DNR means do not resuscitate because that person's probably has a very high likelihood of dying, okay? And they said, well, he's had a severe stroke, and the MRI will explain it. And when he looks at it, he says, well, we have a DNR, but you don't even know what it is. Oh no, the MRI will tell her. MRI comes back clean. Then they go, oh, they shift and act like they never do this. And this happens with physicians, this is how they think. And they shift over to encephalopathy. And that means a swelling in the brain. Now, there's a lot of conversations about being up in the high country, which I've been around quite a bit. And, because Denver, some of the areas in South Denver are 5,200 feet, but really about 6,000 square feet, 6,000 feet up where I was in that place. And, they were trying to push these concepts, but it didn't really ring true, especially when the CT scan comes back negative as well. Now they're freaking, and they got me up on the ICU. And that Sunday was a difficult time frame. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second, and you're going to get a chance to watch the first level video. Now, Wendy didn't take the video of me acting totally psychotic. To give you a little example of what this video is when you see this, this is me after I had a psychotropic medication put into me called Haldol. Now, Haldol, that's when Wendy, who's a psych nurse, kind of has a fit. Because listen, you don't give Haldol to someone, just for the heck of it. You give Haldol to someone who is purely psychotic. Because if you give Haldol without having a psychosis diagnosis and know that it is truly psychosis, you can actually create psychosis. And then, but that didn't even work, so they give, they give me Ativan, and they give me a triple dose of Ativan just to snow me over. So this is that Ativan kind of look right there that will kind of give you an idea of what I was looking like.
What's the problem?
Gotcha. Oh, dang.
Okay, no, I got your hand. I got your hand here. What's going on football? Scott, football.
You're okay. You're right. What'd you say? Less plank or more? You want more? Okay. Let me do that. On top? Okay. Here you go. There you go. Perfect. Yeah? Hey, love you.
So now as you see that video, you're looking at that going, oh, okay, this is serious. Now, the setup that I want to share with you, and this goes into just Sunday, and we'll skip Monday here, and I'll show you that one in the next video. But on Sunday, that stuff is happening. There were 15 physicians that were coming down and watching the guy that was doing crazy things. One of the things that they do is a sternal rub. Now, a sternal rub is something that you would do to know if that person is neurologically there or physically there too. So a sternal rub is an annoying kind of feeling that should hurt. And you do it hard enough that you want to create a response. Now, if it was during COVID, I promise you this would, they would have shut the machines off. And that's actually what they were thinking. And if Wendy wasn't there, I probably would be dead right now. So Wendy's there and she sees that I'm not responding at all to the sternal rub, and she kind of shakes me awake. And I do remember that quite a bit. And I remember waking up a little bit, just looking at her like, what do you want? Kind of thing. And that response was significant. And that's really when they were saying, this is just not going to work for me. In that night, and we'll end up with this part, in that night, I saw 4 demons, 2 over here and 2 over here, and they were fighting. And I was struggling against this. And there was this big battle that I was in the middle of. Now, you know, when people, I'll give you an example. I mean, I've spent a lot of time looking at war issues because this is, you know, just a fascination of mine. And one of the fascinating battles that happens, the very initial battles of the Civil War, they would go up, I mean, the people of that town would go up on the ridge and they would sit up there and they're watching history unfold, but not realizing that the war could spill over and start, you know, taking them out too. And then they were running for their lives when they had their picnic basket out to watch something that would be like on CBS. Obviously, that's 1860s. You know, we're talking about a different kind of idea. But that kind of circumstance was the backdrop of what people don't realize about war when you're in the middle of it. Well, I'm feeling just in the spirit realm, this battle going on around me. Now, I've been around some spiritual stuff, but I've never been in anything in this intensity. It only took me a lot longer to realize, and this is coming out in a book that I have here, it took me a lot longer to realize that Sue had been praying at that same time. And she saw 4 angels holding this blanket that kind of wrapped into me, and they were there as well on the 4 corners of the bed, the same kind of basic point where I saw the demons. And it took me months and months and months to realize the demons weren't fighting this way, they were fighting outward. So they were fighting against the angels. And the reality is, this crazy battle was happening with the backdrop of Psalms 91. Now in Psalms 91, the most powerful verse that people look at, I think it's in verse 6, and it says, you will see, there will be thousands on your left hand and tens of thousands that will fall on your right hand, but the plague will not befall you. This was actually spoken over the troops on both sides of the battle in World War I. So World War I's 1914 to 1918, and before they would go over the hump to get, from their trench warfare, they would claim these verses because there were really ugly things going on around them with all the gas warfare that was occurring. And yet, that's what Sue saw in there, but that wasn't the critical verse. The critical verse is the verse that no one spends any time on, is right afterward. And it says, you will see with your eyes and witness the punishment of the wicked. Now, I've challenged so many people, many people who don't understand end time stuff. I was talking to a woman named Jennifer just last night. She's in Conway, Arkansas. And Jennifer and I were talking about issues of end time issues related to the stuff that we're dealing in 2020 and 2021. And we're seeing the wickedness of the people, of the government and media and all these other crazy circumstances. But what I was seeing inside of that is exactly set up today, that we're seeing around us. The punishment of the wicked that is not happening in an end times facet. That's you're going to see that happening very, very soon. So thanks for listening to this. I've got another video that will kind of show you a little bit more as we go along here. So thank you so much. I appreciate it a bunch.